I let my fiancé's parents spend their life savings on a dream wedding, even though I knew I would leave her at the altar. Many will call me a sociopath. My friends, the former ones, say I crossed a line that should never be crossed. But I believe that betrayal has a price, and sometimes that price isn't paid in tears, but in dollars. A lot of dollars. To give you some background, Sarah, fake name, and I had been together for 4 years. She was always a daddy's girl. Her parents, decent people who were well off but certainly not wealthy, always indulged her every whim. They tolerated me, considering me not ambitious enough for their precious daughter. I work as a data analyst. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm stable and reliable. 6 months ago, we got engaged. Sarah immediately declared, "I want a fairy tale wedding." I nodded. I loved her, and I was ready to take out reasonable loans to make her happy. But a month after the engagement, my world collapsed. I decided to surprise her by setting up the synchronization between her new tablet and her phone. She had asked me to help with her tech gadgets. And that's when I saw it. The messages. And not just innocent flirting, but a full-blown affair with her ex, the typical bad boy from college. There were photos, dates, when she was supposedly at yoga, and discussions about how boring and predictable I was. She literally wrote that she would tolerate me for stability while she had her fun with him. My first instinct was to smash the tablet against the wall and kick her out. But then I saw the next message. Sarah, my parents are selling their vacation home to pay for my wedding. It's gonna be gorgeous. It's a pity the groom won't be you, but we can still see each other afterwards, right? A wave of icy calm washed over me. She wasn't just betraying me. She was using me as a safe harbor while siphoning money from her aging parents just to show off to her friends. And I decided, if she wants a show, she'll get one. I didn't let on that I knew. I became the perfect groom. When we discussed the budget, Sarah hesitated about the expensive flowers. "Honey," I said, holding her hand, "this is your big day. You deserve orchids flown in from Thailand. Your parents want you to be happy." She beamed. Her parents, gritting their teeth, wrote the checks. She wanted a dress from a famous designer for $8,000. I said, "Get it. You need to look like a queen." She wanted a live jazz band instead of a DJ? Of course, my love. She wanted the most expensive venue in the city where the non-refundable deposit was 50%. Absolutely. Nothing is too good for us. I watched her father go pale as he signed the contracts. I knew he had sold their beloved lake house and emptied a significant portion of their retirement fund. But Sarah was relentless, and I poured oil on the fire, assuring them that we'll make it back in gifts, and I will take care of her for the rest of my life. Over those 6 months, they spent about $85,000. Everything was paid for. The catering, the decor, the music, the photographers. Everything was non-refundable 2 weeks before the date. D-Day was yesterday. 150 guests gathered in the garden of an elite hotel. Sarah, in her $8,000 dress, in tears of happiness, or just good acting, was getting ready to walk down the aisle. I was supposed to be waiting for her at the altar. Instead, 30 minutes before the ceremony, I walked into the groom's suite, left a thick envelope on the table, and walked out through the service exit, where a taxi to the airport was already waiting for me. I had bought a ticket for a solo hiking tour in the mountains weeks ago. The envelope didn't contain a sentimental letter. It contained printed screenshots of her texts with her lover from the last 6 months, and a short note for her father. "John, I feel sorry for your money, but your daughter has been cheating on me since the first day of our engagement. Ask her about Mark from college. There will be no wedding. I couldn't tell you sooner because I wanted her to feel the exact same pain I felt, the pain of a dream collapsing when you least expect it. Good luck paying the bills." I turned off my phone as soon as I got on the plane. When I turned it on this morning in a different state, it was like a nuclear explosion. Hundreds of messages from Sarah, "You monster, how could you?" from her friends, threats from her father. Judging from the voicemails from my best friend, the only one who knew the truth and stayed at the wedding as a spy, it was epic. Sarah was hysterical, wailing on the floor. The guests were in shock. $85,000 worth of food and flowers were going to waste because the party was over before it began. Sarah's father tried to punch the best man. Sarah is now not just a jilted bride, she is disgraced in front of her entire family and social circle. Rumors spread fast. Her parents lost their life savings on a party that never happened. And me? I'm sitting in a quiet cabin in the mountains, drinking coffee and feeling a strange emptiness. I don't feel bad about the money. It wasn't my money. I only regret the time I wasted. People call me cruel. They say I could have just left 6 months ago and saved the old couple their pension. But I see it this way. They raised a monster who thought it was normal to use people. They sponsored her selfishness her entire life. This was simply the most expensive parenting lesson in their history. Did I go too far, or is this karma served cold? I won a lawsuit against my bully son's school and forced his victim's parents to pay me compensation, all because they made a technical error. I'm writing this from a laptop that was bought with the settlement money paid out by a family that is currently selling their house to get away from me. If you ask anyone in my town, I am the devil. I am the father who defended a monster and destroyed good people. But I see myself differently. I am a man who believes in the rule of law, and the law doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about procedure. And when you come from my head, you better make sure your paperwork is in order. To understand why I did this, you have to understand my son, Leo. I'm not going to sit here and pretend Leo is a misunderstood angel. He's 16, big for his age, aggressive, and frankly, he has a mean streak. I've spent thousands on therapy. I've disciplined him, but he is who he is. He's a bully. I know it, the school knows it, and the other kids know it. 3 months ago, Leo got into an altercation with a kid named Sam. Sam is the opposite of Leo, small, quiet, straight-A student, the victim archetype. Apparently, Leo had been tormenting Sam for weeks. It culminated in a confrontation in the locker room. Leo shoved Sam, knocked his books over, and said some truly vile things. It was classic bullying behavior. I'm not defending what he did. However, here is where the good guys messed up. Sam didn't just report it. Sam decided to wear a hidden camera, a tiny GoPro-style device clipped to his backpack strap to school the next day. He provoked a reaction from Leo, got the footage of Leo acting like a jerk, and took it home. Sam's parents, let's call them Mark and Karen, saw the footage. Instead of going to the principal or coming to me, they went nuclear. They uploaded the video to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. They captioned it with Leo's full name, the name of the school, and, this is the kicker, they tagged my workplace and my wife's dental practice. The caption read, "This monster, Leo, last name, is terrorizing our son. His parents, my name, and wife's name, are raising a sociopath. Let's make them famous." The video went viral locally. Within 24 hours, the school expelled Leo without a hearing. They cited their zero-tolerance policy. My wife's practice was flooded with one-star reviews from people who had never been there. I received death threats at my office. Mark and Karen were on the local news, crying about how they were taking a stand. They felt righteous. They felt invincible. They forgot one thing. We live in a two-party consent state regarding recording, and they forgot that public schools have strict administrative procedures for expulsion that cannot be bypassed just because a Facebook mob is angry. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't reply to the comments. I hired the most aggressive civil litigation attorney in the state. First, we went after the school. The school board, terrified by the bad PR, expelled Leo immediately, skipping the mandatory suspension hearing appeal process outlined in their student handbook and state education law. They denied him due process.
My lawyer walked into the superintendent's office and laid it out. You expelled a minor based on illegally obtained footage without a hearing due to public pressure. Rephrase that for a judge and tell me how it sounds. The school folded like a cheap lawn chair. To avoid a federal lawsuit for violation of civil rights, they not only reinstated Leo, we transferred him to a private school anyway, they agreed to a confidential settlement to make us go away. That was easy money. Then came Mark and Karen. They thought they were heroes. They thought the court of public opinion matters. It doesn't. We sued them for defamation, for the false claims made in the comments they encouraged, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and, most importantly, invasion of privacy and violation of wiretapping laws. You cannot record a minor in a locker room where there's a reasonable expectation of privacy and blast it on the internet. It doesn't matter if Leo was being a jerk. You broke the law. Mark represented himself at first, thinking the judge would side with the victim's father. He stood up in court and gave a tearful speech about how Leo is a bully and how he was just protecting his son. The judge, an old-school stickler for statutes, looked at him and said, "Sir, moral outrage is not a legal defense for wiretapping and targeted harassment." The trial didn't last long. The evidence was irrefutable. They admitted to posting the video. They admitted to tagging our employers. They admitted to encouraging the harassment. The judgment came down last week. The court found that while Leo's behavior was reprehensible, the judge actually lectured me on my parenting. Mark and Karen's reaction was illegal and caused quantifiable damages to our careers and reputation. They were ordered to pay us $150,000 in damages, plus legal fees. They don't have $150,000. They're middle-class people. I could have settled for less. I could have set up a payment plan. But I remembered the voicemail Mark left on my work phone the day he posted the video. "I'm going to ruin your life, you piece of shit." So I instructed my lawyer to execute the judgment immediately. We placed a lien on their house. We garnished Mark's wages. They are currently liquidating their assets, selling their second car, their boat, and yes, putting their house on the market to pay me. Sam, the victim, had to transfer schools because his parents are now bankrupt and can't afford the extracurriculars in the district. Yesterday, I saw Mark at the grocery store. He looked 10 years older. He approached me in the parking lot, shaking. "You know your son is guilty," he spat at me. "You know he tormented Sam. How do you sleep at night taking our house?" I looked him in the eye and said, "Leo is a bully. I deal with that at home. But you tried to destroy my family because you were too emotional to follow the rules. You wanted to play vigilante. Well, you paid the vigilante tax." I drove away. My wife thinks I was too harsh. She says we should have forgiven the debt once they apologized, but they never apologized for trying to get us fired. They only apologized for getting caught. Leo is still in therapy, and honestly, he's still difficult, but he learned a valuable lesson. It doesn't matter who is right in the playground. It matters who is right in the courtroom. Am I the asshole for using the law to crush the parents of my son's victim, or is this just the price of stupidity?